The laughter in Hangar 7 was sharp and cruel. She won't make it past the first ridge. That canyon devours aircraft. Everyone knew the Serpent's maw had swallowed better pilots than her. None had flown in and returned. But when the dying call of Viper Team 7 crackled across the net, Captain Alyssa Kade, callsign Iron Vortex, didn't wait for permission. She zipped her flight suit and walked toward her Warthog. Moments earlier in the command tent of Operation Iron Dagger, gunfire and static had filled the radio Viper 7 to command, pinned down, high ground lost, ammo low, then silence. Before we dive deeper into this mission, where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city or country in the comments. We read everyone. And if you love true-style military storytelling, make sure to hit subscribe and join our community of warriors and supporters inside the tent. Fluorescent strips buzzed overhead, maps of the Black Talon Range glowing under pale light. Screens froze, banners flashing red, signal lost. Colonel Nathan Hale leaned across the board. Last ping, Delta 9, Serpent's maw. The canyon's name silenced the room, 2 miles deep, 5 miles long, a scar of stone and crosswinds that tore wings apart. Heat currents rose and collapsed without warning. Even drones lasted seconds before slamming into rock. A junior officer muttered. Even UAVs don't survive, another added. Exits already covered. They're finished. At the far end stood Alyssa Kade, arms folded, dust on her knees. The patch on her chest didn't read her name. It read Iron Vortex. Nightfall insertion is the only option, Hale said flatly. If they're alive. Osprey's under moon cover. Everyone knew what nightfall meant by then. Viper 7 would be corpses in the dark. Alyssa's eyes didn't move from the map. I've flown that canyon before, Frostvale Gap, 2 years back. I know the windbreaks. I know how to ride the southern wall. That was daylight. An intel officer shot back. No live fire, no SAMs. And I made it out, Alyssa answered, voice steady. The tent went still. Someone pulled up the wireframe terrain model walls, twisting like knives. Dead ends. Sudden drops. You'd have to drop under 100 feet, a logistics major said. Thresholds are for peacetime. Colonel Hale's stare was hard. If we lose you. Captain. Then you lose me doing the right thing. The weight of her words held. Commander Ryan Strickland, SEAL liaison. Broke the silence. Captain Kade. Do you really think you can pull this off? She didn't look at him. I don't think. Commander. I know. Orders snapped. Screens updated. Hale's voice cut the chaos. You launch in 20 minutes. Hangar 7. The tent surged with motion. Alyssa turned for the door, helmet swinging at her side. Outside. Her A-10 waited. Engines rumbling like a beast restless for war. Hangar 7 pulsed with life. Hydraulic pumps hissed. Jet fuel stung the air. Mechanics swarmed beneath the A-10 coveralls streaked with grease. Belts of 30mm rounds clinked into the Ju-8 drum. Flares hissed into mounts. Worn hydraulic lines were yanked and replaced like veins under a surgeon's knife. This was no training loadout. This was full combat. Alyssa strode down the center line, eyes fixed on her Warthog. She didn't need to ask if it was ready. The crew's pace told her everything. A young chief climbed from the fuselage, wiping sweat. He reached into his pocket and held out a patch Black Vortex. Silver thread. Edges frayed smooth. Ma'am, figured you'd want this back. Alyssa pressed it onto her sleeve, Iron Vortex. No ceremony, no words, just a nod. She mounted the ladder in 3 steady steps, boots creaking on the rungs. Inside, the canopy glass shimmered with reflections. Harness locked across her chest. Her hands moved on instinct. Master arm off. Battery on. APU start. HUD bloomed green. Weapons lit in sequence. Fuel pressure stable. Vector 2-1 cleared for takeoff. She sealed the canopy. Hangar noise vanished, replaced by the turbine's rising howl. The vibration pressed into her bones, tightening the harness across her chest. Throttle forward. The Warthog surged, tools rattling on benches, as the nose crossed the hangar doors. Silence swept the crew. No one muttered this time. Only the hiss of engines. The runway blurred beneath her. Wheels lifted. Landing gear thudded into place. For a moment. She was back at Laughlin Air Base, a cadet in a T-6 trainer, calm in crosswinds that broke other students. Her instructor's voice crackled. She doesn't fight the aircraft. She talks to it. Snow squalls at Frostvale Gap. Visibility gone. 2 A-10s had already turned back. Alyssa guided them through blind white corridors. Voice steady Iron Vortex 2 and 2. Clear runway. That call sign had followed her ever since. Back in the present. Sunlight flared off her canopy. The Black Talon Range rose like jagged teeth. Beyond it, the waiting dark of the Serpent's maw. Alyssa dipped the nose, easing below 120 feet, every gauge green, every muscle braced. There was no threshold to cross. She'd left that behind when the wheels left the ground. Radio chatter hissed in Alyssa's headset, half words, scrambled coordinates, fragments of weather. She tuned it out. Her world shrank to throttle, altitude, and the jagged mouth of the Serpent's maw ahead. The canyon rose like a scar splitting the mountains. She eased the stick. Altimeter ticking down a 150, 130, then under 110 feet. Her gloves tightened. Stone walls pressed close, heat shimmer rippling off the canopy. A sudden updraft slammed her left wing. The Warthog lurched, metal groaning. Alyssa fought it, shoulders straining against a control stick that felt heavier with every correction. Heat blooms flickered on her HUD. She counted fast 20 RPG teams, 3 man pads spread like teeth across the ridges. The call came distorted. Desperate Viper 7 South Gully heavy fire need cover now. Her thumb flipped master arm to live. She squeezed. The GIU-8 roared. Thunder bounced between canyon walls. Sandbags vaporized. Rock exploded. RPG crews disintegrated in flame. 2 pickups screeched into view. Gun mounts rattling. Alyssa dove. Altimeter screaming 95 feet. She fired. 1 burst shredded the lead truck. The second swerved tire blown, then smashed against the cliffs in a plume of fire. Stormline. This is command. Reinforcements inbound East Ridge. ETA 2 minutes. Viper 7 needs 5. Her reply was instant. I'll hold the line. She clawed back to 140 feet, rolled hard, then dropped again into tracer fire. Green arcs stitched the air, slicing just past her canopy. Each weave shook the jet. Every correction was a battle of brute strength against failing hydraulics. An RPG crew rose from behind a ridge. Alyssa skimmed the wall so close the cliff blurred, then fired men and rock vanishing in orange flame. Warning lights shrieked, Chiwide pressure critical. The airframe rattled, stabilizers groaning like torn steel. Then movement, a man-pad tube locking on. No time to climb. Alyssa snapped into a brutal dive, nose aimed directly at the threat. The missile spat fire, lock warning shrieking in her ears, then broke off. Fooled by her sudden angle and a burst of flares, it spiraled wide and detonated against the cliff face. She shredded the launcher with cannon fire, debris raining into the gorge. Fuel gauges dipped lower, amber flashing. Alyssa's breathing stayed even, but sweat ran down her temple. Strickland's voice cut in Viper 7 breaking cover 50 meters to LZ ahead. The valley churned with rotor wash, 2 MV-22 Ospreys hovering through a storm of dust. SEALs sprinted for the ramps when another white smoke trail lanced from the ridge. An RPG streaked toward the second Osprey. Alyssa rammed the throttle forward. Alyssa dropped the nose. No hesitation, only the dive. The A-10 shrieked, turbines screaming as she cut below 50 feet. She ripped across the Osprey's line of fire, flares streaking from her belly. The RPG lost lock, veering wide into the cliffs. A dirty orange bloom tore the sky. The blast slammed her cockpit, rattling her teeth. The Osprey shuddered but held steady. Crew voices yelled in her headset, but Alyssa was already banking for another run. HUD glared with heat blooms, targets hiding among shadows. The Maw was still alive, and until every threat was gone. She wasn't leaving. Another launch. Smoke ripped upward. Alyssa plunged, canopy rattling. She leveled at treetop height, dumping flares. The missile twisted, spiraled wide, detonating harmlessly. Hydraulic alarms screamed. Stick resistance doubled. Every move felt like hauling dead weight. Stabilizers groaned, metal grinding. The cockpit shook, but Alyssa gritted her teeth, forcing the bird to obey. On the ground. Viper 7 scrambled into the Ospreys. A rookie's voice cracked. Who the hell is the team leader? Cut him off? That's Iron Vortex. Don't ask. Enemy fighters broke. Some dove for cover. Others bolted into gullies. The echo of the JAO-8 rolled through the canyon like a war drum. The Ospreys lifted, rotors biting into thin mountain air. Dust whirled into blinding sheets. Alyssa slid ahead of them, wings rocking violently in the crosswinds, barely holding formation. Her eyes scanned every ridge, every gully. Shadows moved. Or maybe it was only her straining vision. She stayed sharp. Any hesitation meant death, at the canyon's mouth. Terrain widened into the valley. A sudden crosswind slammed her sideways. She hauled the stick, arms trembling, fighting the crippled jet back on course. The transports cleared the final bend, noses rising toward open sky. Alyssa pulled slightly higher, escorting them until their altitude cleared enemy range. Her cockpit flashed amber fuel low. The stabilizer shook as though ready to rip loose. She clenched her jaw, staying with the Ospreys until the last moment. Only when they vanished toward safety did she finally peel away. The return flight was a crawl through silence. No chatter, no celebration, just the uneven hum of a wounded machine. Stormline. You're cleared priority landing. Control called. She aligned with the emergency strip, compensating for the left side drag. Gear down. No flaps. Touchdown slammed her forward. Right wheel hit first. Left crashed a heartbeat later. Sparks carved the runway. The A-10 screeched, skidding the full length before grinding to a halt just shy of the barrier net. For a moment. Only hiss and groan. Steam hissed from vents. Hydraulics bled out onto the tarmac. Medics and engineers sprinted forward, then froze, watching. Captain Alyssa Kade climbed slowly down the ladder. Torn suit blackened with soot. Helmet tucked under her arm. She steadied herself halfway. Eyes clear. Posture unbroken. The Warthog shuddered to a stop just short of the barrier net for a moment. Silence ruled the airfield, only the hiss of cooling engines, steam rising from shattered vents, and hydraulic fluid pooling beneath the torn wings. The canopy cracked open. Captain Alyssa Kade climbed out slowly, helmet tucked beneath her arm. Her flight suit was shredded, streaked with oil, dust, and blood. She paused halfway down the ladder, steadying herself against the frame. Fire crews and medics rushed forward but stopped short, watching her steady. Deliberate descent, one tech whispered. Almost to himself, she shouldn't even be standing. The aircraft was roped off instantly. Engineers swarmed it, snapping photos, scribbling notes. The damage itself told the story louder than any report could. Hours later, in the sterile glow of the command center, a Pentagon liaison appeared on the secure feed. His voice was flat. You ignored standing orders. You compromised critical assets. Colonel Nathan Hale answered before Alyssa could. She saved 8 operators, men who would be dead without her. The liaison's expression didn't change. Alyssa said nothing. She didn't need to. The telemetry spoke for her altitude drops, target impacts, evasive maneuvers no manual had ever accounted for. There was no playbook for what she had done. Outside the chain of command, the story had already ignited. A SEAL's helmet cam captured the A-10 skimming the canyon wall, cannon blazing. Someone posted it online with a single caption, "The Stormline." The clip went viral across forums and feeds. Cadets studied it frame by frame. Ground crews replayed it in break rooms for weeks. Alyssa was grounded medical checks, endless evaluations, the weight of bureaucracy pressing in. But then, quietly, the orders shifted. She was reassigned as an advanced tactical instructor. No simulators, only real terrain, real conditions. She accepted without hesitation. Her students came from everywhere: fresh wings, combat veterans, pilots who had already seen fire. Many had watched the Stormline footage before ever meeting her. They learned fast that she didn't lecture. She taught by presence, by showing them how to feel the wind through the stick, how to hear the subtle shift between clean air and danger, how to know when altitude was safety, and when it was distance from the fight. Years later, the mission over the Serpent's maw remained a case study, officially unnamed in the archives. Unofficially, everyone knew it as the day Iron Vortex bent the rules and won. One afternoon, a cadet asked the question others never dared. "Ma'am, why did you fly that low?" Alyssa's gaze drifted past him, out the window at the open sky. "When no one else will dive into the fire," she said quietly. "Sometimes, you have to become the storm. Sometimes the greatest victories never make the record books." What do you think? Did Alyssa do the right thing?